Ah, what happened to my motorcycle? Hey, Oregon Moto John here. You can see we're doing a few things to the 25 Honda CRF 450 RL. I don't want to give away too much, but I'll just say I have my suspension sitting there, and we're going to do a few things to the bike and help it ride a little better. And so stay tuned. Stay tuned to see what we do. And I'll also make a short clip on how to get the rear shock off. That was something. Anyway, I guess I'll just talk about it right now. I basically removed the side fairings over here. I didn't have to remove the gas tank. I removed the side fairings over here, just the tailpipe, not the header. And then I loosen up your frame bolts here, and the same ones on the other side. And I'm able to lift this, pivot this up, and I actually ended up leaving one in the other side on the top, lifting this up into the side. And then I was able to get this shock freed up here, the rear shock. And then I did take the swing arm bolt out to pull that back, and I was able to sneak the shock out through the bottom. But anyway, more about that later. So there's the rear shock. Hope you're all doing well, and stay tuned. More to come. So what happened? Well, my last ride on gravel roads, the bike actually does reasonably well. I had my compression all the way out on the OEM shocks. They hold up well on the stroke. I'm about 190 pounds. I had the sag set right on the bike, but they're just, if I'd never ridden anything else, I would have thought this is fine, but it just seemed a little harsh. Just a little harsh on the small bumps and the small chop compared to, like, say, my 350 over here. This is a 22 Husky FE350S or KTM 350. They're very similar. I ran the same tires, the golden tires. I actually was running the same tires on my Honda, so that we're comparing apples to apples. I thought maybe I just need mushier tires. I played with inflation pressures on my 450. I played with compression, dampening or rebound dampening, compression settings, and it's just a small chop. It handles the big stuff great. It just was a little harsh. In fact, the last ride, I actually had a little bit of a headache afterwards from just, I could feel my brain rattling, if that makes sense. I can take a lot of chop and vibration. That doesn't bug me. Most of what I do is off-road, and I hadn't felt that. So anyway, long story short, the suspension does fine. I'm going to keep the stock shocks. I'm just going to have somebody help me with a little valving, maybe so it's a little softer and a little more plush on the top end of the stroke. So stay tuned, like and subscribe if you want to see how this goes. Anyway, I have somebody who's going to do some valving for me, and I'll talk about that. So, but it just, for what I'm going to be doing with this bike, it was just a little harsh. But if I were only doing, more pavement and a little roads, I'd be fine. But I do mainly logging roads and some single track. And this chassis is great. It's a great platform. It's just very, very firm. And I'm still going to play around with the engine hanger bolts and different things here as well. So I'm not going to, I'm going to still play with that. And I don't mind fiddling with this bike a little bit. I don't mind it. And if I'd never ridden a KTM or a Husky, I wouldn't know any different. But I have, and there's something about KTM, Husky, they know how to build a bike. It just doesn't have that harsh feel. And this is all stock. I haven't done anything to the suspension. It just has a nice feel. You get on it, and I can't tell you, I'm not a good enough rider to tell you if it's the suspension or the chassis. The chassis has just the right amount of flex. I don't know what it is, but it just seems to soak up those bumps better. So we're going to play with this bike a little bit, the suspension, some of the chassis torque bolts, maybe a steering dampener, and I'm going to see if I can get it to more like, a KTM feel, or just to where it's a little not so rigid on gravel roads. All right, so stay tuned. More to come. And again, this isn't a knock on the 450. This is just John, Oregon Moto John, just kind of going full tilt OCD on the 450.